Hello everyone, welcome to the Angular Story series. In this episode, you will learn the most building blocks of an Angular application and its components. To understand what a component represents in an application, here is an example of a web app page scene with the component I choose medium as it fits perfectly with this purpose. As you can see, components are small pieces that build your page. Here the blocks with the same color represent the same components, which means less code as we don't repeat ourselves, as well as less effort to build a whole page. When it comes to components in Angular, there are mainly 4 things to know: the composition of a component, the types of components, the life cycles of components, and ways to create components. As you can see, that's already too much to encapsulate in one video, otherwise you won't be able to digest the whole video. So each point will be detailed in a dedicated episode. For this episode, you will learn the first must-know about components in Angular. For that, I will walk you through 3 mini blocks that compose a component. Each Angular component consists of the component brain, the component body, the component look, and finally the component tests. In the last episode, we learned about the app component. The first thing to know about components in Angular is that they are simply classes, like any other class you may have created in other languages or framework. Except that this class becomes an Angular component by adding the decorator at the component and the component configuration, which is the selector or unique identifier of the component, its template file, and optionally its style file. There is also another syntax that is great for small components that allow us to encapsulate everything in one file. In this case, we don't have an HTML file to specify, but rather than that, directly put the template, and the same goes for the style. And that's what we call inline style. Note the difference in the metadata properties here. The template URL metadata becomes template, and style URL's metadata becomes styles. Both syntaxes can't cohabit in the same component. The template of a component is simply the component HTML with some extra power that comes with Angular. With what Angular brings, you can, for example, conditionally change the style. Here loading is a variable that comes for the component class. Conditionally display an HTML block. Loop with ng for directive, as you can do with JavaScript, except that it's done in the template here. Transform data with the Angular built-in uppercase pipe, and even create a behavior you add to a native HTML element. Angular by default applies the component style inside the component only and not outside the component. You can override this configuration with the Angular view encapsulation. You can write style files in CSS, Sass, or less, and specify those files in the component style URL metadata with the appropriate extensions. And this is possible thanks to the Angular CLI we use to create our application. This file is optional, but unit tests are mandatory in every web application, as they check if your app is working as you expect. Nothing to do here as the Angular CLI has already downloaded and installed everything we need to write tests with the Jasmine framework and run them with Karma. Angular recommends the following naming conventions for component files. Our episode ends here. Thank you so much for being here, and see you in the next episode of Angular Stories. Till then, keep learning and stay tuned. If you liked the video, please subscribe to the Web Stories channel, hit like and enable notifications to get notified whenever an episode is out.